everybody, thank you so much for coming back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Rush Hour 3. Real quick before I get into this video, the reason I hadn't been doing a lot of reviews this past week was really just I had some stuff going on in my personal life, and honestly I just didn't really feel right posting reviews, being all giddy, being silly, posting these silly thumbnails in the midst of everything that was going on in our country. And that's not at all a dig or a diss towards anybody who was posting content. I actually posted a review for Hellboy right in the middle of everything happening, and I just couldn't help but feel kind of goofy having my video trying to be promoted in the middle of all these real-time videos of things that are happening around the country. It just felt silly to me, and I felt like I'm just gonna take a couple of days off from doing this kind of content and posting it all over social media. And yeah, I ended up doing some of those supercut videos, which you guys have been super positive about, which I'm really appreciating, and I decided to do some gameplay footage, but now I'm back to do some reviews. I just wanted to let you guys know why I chose not to do reviews, and all I'll say on the matter is Black Lives Matter, and I will always be 110% behind the stance to have equality for all. And that's all I'll say on that. So let's talk about Rush Hour 3. So Rush Hour 3 is once again directed by Brett Ratner, which I've talked about before. He's not necessarily a director we all get excited to hear from anymore, specifically obviously because of everything that happened with the Me Too movement, but I've already talked about that. And this film also once again stars Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker reprising their roles from the first two films. And my overall thoughts on this movie? I enjoy it. I have a good time with it. I think it's easily the weakest of the three films. I'll go ahead and start that off right now and say that. But yeah, I do have a good time when I watch this movie. It has some really great action, and once again some great choreography, specifically around Jackie Chan's character Lee. And I just really enjoy the chemistry between Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. I just think that they have this screen presence that really works. I really enjoy them together in these films, and as a follow-up to two of my favorite films of all time, I just think it's a good time, and it's nice to see them together again on screen playing these characters. Now I think without a doubt this is easily the most forgettable as far as the jokes and the overall story. Going back and rewatching it was nice though, and I think watching them back to back definitely let me enjoy it a lot more. I remember back in the day being super excited for this movie to come out, and there was a huge time gap. I want to say maybe not the biggest, I would think somewhere between 5 to 7 years time gap between Rush Hour 2 and this movie. And I remember it just being this thing that we were all dying for the third film, and then it kind of came out at this point where some people had maybe already lost interest. I was definitely still excited, and after seeing the movie I had a good time with it, but yeah, it definitely just doesn't hold up as being just as strong or just as funny as those first two movies. So the basic premise of this film is the consulate from the first film whose daughter was kidnapped in the first film. Yeah, this time he has a different role in politics. I think he's a senator, but I'm probably wrong with that. But he has a different role, and there's an assassination attempt made on his life. He's shot. He does not die. We get to see his daughter from the first film, Soo Young, older. She's like around 18 to 19 in this film. And yeah, you know, we get to kind of jump forward in time, not only in real life, but also within the story a little bit further than I think in real life. And yeah, now there's been this assassination attempt on this character, and of course Lee loves him and he wants to try to figure out what's going on, and he ends up finding out that there's this crime syndicate that's led by Lee's secret brother that we had not heard from in the first two movies. His brother that he kind of wanted to keep a secret because he's kind of ashamed of the fact that they're related because his brother chose to go down the path of crime. And yeah, now Carter and Lee have to go to Paris to chase down this crime syndicate, and there's this whole thing going on with Lee's brother. And yeah, I think without a doubt everything that's going on with Jackie Chan and his brother in this film is definitely the most exciting portion of this film. I really enjoyed that element, but on an overall, I think that this movie is forgettable. I think there's some really awesome and badass action and some great chase sequences and a lot that I really do enjoy from this film. But on an overall level, there's a lot about the jokes and little things that I don't ever really remember. It's not as quotable as the first two films. And that's not to say that this movie is bad. I just think without a doubt it is the weakest of the three, at least for me. And I would definitely love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments down below. Do you like this one more than the other ones at any point? I really want to know. But yeah, I just feel like they tried to mix in something a little bit different with this film. The first two films do such a great job of blending the typical American buddy cop film with kung fu films, and I think that they're a really solid blend. You have two very different actors who bounce off each other so well, and their comedic timing with each other, it's just so charming, so cute, and so funny, and you're just really on board for everything that they have to do. Whereas in this film, not only do they have that American buddy cop feel with the kung fu film, but they also add in kind of like a very Bond-esque story. And that kind of sounds like it would be cool, but I feel like some of the stuff that they added in here was a little bit of the over-the-top, kind of over-the-top spy thriller Bond stuff that you see in some of the earlier films, or even some of them just in general. And yeah, you know, it's just kind of this over-the-top plot and this over-the-top kind of silly kind of spy story. So they definitely pull from that a little bit for this film, but I don't necessarily hate that, but I just kind of feels like it makes it a little bit less grounded than the first two films. And that's not to say that the first two films were overly grounded. They're very over-the-top buddy cop action films, but I feel like the story, for the most part, the first film being about the kidnapping and the second film being about the triads, for the most part, the overall plot tends to be pretty grounded, and this one felt a little bit bigger, a little bit over the top compared to those first two. I don't dislike it for that, but it's, you know, it's a criticism that I could say is at least noticeable, that it doesn't feel as consistent as the first two films. I'll be honest, I don't have a whole lot more to say about this movie. I like it. I think it's a good time. I think there's some funny moments in here. It's just a little bit forgettable. I think this is just that film within the franchise that you can say, hey, it's not as good as the other two, but I still enjoy it. Some people shit on this movie, and I don't think it's necessarily deserved. I think there are some really funny and charming and likable moments, especially with Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. There are some new characters that are introduced to this film that may not be the most memorable characters or the most quotable characters, but they're funny and they're charming while they're there. There are some jokes similar to the last two films that probably would not be in movies today, maybe some racial jokes and things like that, that are handled in a very light and kind of funny way when you watch the movies, but you just know that they really probably wouldn't implement comedy like that into films today. And like I've mentioned before, Brett Ratner, you know, we've now learned that he's a bit of a creep, and he kind of inserts a little of his creepiness as far as towards women in the writing that he has for Chris Tucker's character, Carter. You know, the way he is with women, the kind of comments he'll make, you can definitely tell that the creepiness of Brett Ratner kind of sneaks its way into his character. But yeah, I think what this film does is everything that the first two films did, just not as good. And I think you're either gonna hate that, or you're gonna like it, or you're gonna be okay with it. And I'm more on the okay with it, and I like it. I think it's a funny film. By the end of it, I have a good time with this trilogy. It's nice to go through all three films and just have a good time seeing these actors, having a good time making these movies, because as I've mentioned, all of these films end with a blooper reel. And it just goes to show for me that though the films can be filled with flaws or little things that may not work for some people, they're a good time, and you could just tell the people who are making them were having a good laugh making the film and having a good time making the film, which always just kind of amplifies the enjoyment I have of a film, because I can tell that the people that were making it were having a good time, so I just want to have a good time with them while I'm enjoying this film. So yeah, guys, that's gonna be my kind of short review of Rush Hour 3. I know I didn't have a lot to say about this film. There's definitely things about it that are not fantastic, but I enjoy it. You know, it's not a crazy great film, but it's a good time, especially if you enjoyed the first two and if you enjoy these characters. If you watched this film long ago and maybe you kind of dogged on it, maybe you were like, it's just not as good as the last ones, and you don't really remember a lot about it, I'd say watch the trilogy again, or maybe just go back and revisit this one. I think you'll find that you'll enjoy it a little bit more than maybe you remember. It's not amazing, and I think as long as you go in expecting just a good time with these characters and revisiting them, I think you can watch it and just kind of shut your brain off and have a good time watching this fun action spy espionage film that has all this comedy in it. I really do enjoy these films. I enjoy Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan in these films, and it's been a lot of fun talking about these movies, guys. So leave those comments down below. Let me know what you think of the Rush Hour trilogy as a whole. Let me know what you guys think about this video and this review. Definitely want to know what you guys have to say about Rush Hour 3. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed this video. It helps the channel out. Comment down below, like I've already said. Subscribe for more videos, and as usual, guys, I will see each and every single one of you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.